With the long-awaited sequel of the brilliant Hellblade Senua's Sacrifice peeking its head around the corner, I took it as an opportunity to reflect back on the first game, and realised that I hadn't in fact played it. With the game having been released back in 2017, it has already garnered many stellar reviews across the board, so you don't need me 7 years later to rehash what has already been said before. Instead, I intend to take the journey not only through Helheim, but to the very core of what made this game so special. So, whether you're like me and managed to let this gem slip by, or whether you're looking for a bit of a recap before delving into the sequel, stick around, don your biggest pair of headphones, and prepare to let Senua envelop your senses once more. Spoiler warning with this video, as to really get a sense of how and why this game blew me away, we need to reach the end together. We open with light shining down on a peaceful, rippling body of water. "Hello, who are you?" a calm and gentle voice asks, whispering that she'll be nice and close, that you'll be safe with her. It's been 2 seconds in and the hairs on the back of my neck are already stood on end. This feeling of unease established right from the get-go, it's one that does not shift until you complete the game, and even then for some time after. As we follow Senua, slowly drifting on a tree across the water, the camera pans, we see her face and the voices start. The voices that never, ever stop. The atmosphere is like nothing I've experienced in a video game. The binaural 3D audio used really is something special, and so it is absolutely essential to play the game with the headphones on. Initially, it may only be 1 or 2 voices, but as the game progresses and Senua's mental health deteriorates, her psychosis worsens, and there can be 4 or 5 of them, shouting and whispering, telling you different things and conflicting with one another. They all come at you from different directions, different volumes, different emotions, whispering, breathing, pleading, arguing, and sometimes really seeming to be coming from within.
Stop! Get up! Get up! What are you doing?
As we wander through the eerie environments, we stumble across runestones, and by focusing on them we are told about Norse lore and mythology by a character we encounter later in the game. These aren't necessary to find, but in doing so add more narrative and depth to our journey. Focusing, or rather zooming in ever so slightly, is a mechanic used in both puzzle solving and combat. The first taste of battle came from the materialization of a humanoid bird-like creature having spawned in from the Shadow Realm. They start to circle us as we try to enter the realm of Helheim. The art of combat here is quite simple: light attack, heavy attack, shield break, and evade. We found that the combat in Hellblade wasn't made to be a particular challenge, but rather to add in more mechanics that fuel the overall sense of caution, panic, and unease. Through a forced sequence of death, we find that each time we respawn to try again, a darkness within us spreads, and if we die too often, it would reach our brain, seemingly then leading to permadeath. Oh my days, suddenly that happy-go-lucky, us versus the world, spam X to win attitude flew out the window. Every moment from now on was met with caution, calculation, and a second guess. Now, having read about it on completing the game, I am aware this was a gimmick, and that rot never does spread that far no matter how many times you die. But that just made the very idea of it that much more brilliant. Want to make a game where we make the player feel the constant pressure that any small mistake, that any slight miscalculation leads to failure? Tell them the game is over forever if you don't listen to the voices, if you don't listen to their warnings about turning back, and that you're not good enough, so don't even bother trying. During the combat sequences, those voices did sometimes play into our favour. They whispered to us to remind us to use our focus, to attack when the enemy was vulnerable, and to look out when there was an attack coming from behind off screen. They even shout to us to get out of the way when there is an unblockable attack incoming.
It's nearly over. Finish it.
Your time.
When you succeed, those small moments of actual encouragement from them are grasped and savoured. only to then doubt yourself once more come the next challenge. That focus I mentioned earlier, that ability to try and zone out the noise, it becomes more and more important as we progress. When fighting, it can be used to slow down time as well as reveal enemies that are cloaked in darkness and expose their weakness. During exploration, we use it to gauge new perspectives on our surroundings, to complete puzzles and form runes to open new doorways. So then, our path is blocked, and we are told that to progress we must first find and eliminate two gods, Valravan and Sut, one of illusion and one of fire. We step forth into their realms, and in doing so must overcome their own trials and challenges, before then finally being able to face them. These trials also play with the mind. As we hunt down Valravan, kaleidoscopic images appear, and our vision gets hindered by shimmering light bouncing off multiple objects. We start to question reality, as the voices tease and mock us for failing to figure out where to go or what to do. When we eventually slay the beast, half the challenge is done, and we are met with daybreak, a flood of glorious sunlight to give us a moment of peace and clarity. Then we enter the Fire Realm. We journey through an unsuspecting village, and as we uncover its past, we are tormented by the screams and cries of the villagers, burning along with their village in a blaze of destruction. If not already, this was where I had to take the occasional break, as my senses got overwhelmed by it all, feeling like it was too close for comfort. Finally, as Surt felt the final sting of our blade through its neck, we are shown more of our past and the harrowing events that unfolded. Let's take this moment to step back for a bit of story time. Senua is a Pict, part of a tribe from the Isle of Orkney, Scotland. Born from a priestess mother who had visions that she saw as a gift, and a druid father who thought her visions were a curse. This conflict led to her mother being burnt at the stake while Senua was just a child. Over the years, Senua was tormented by her father, which led to her own visions becoming more vivid. She became a recluse, rarely leaving their house. On one occasion, however, fate brought her to chance upon a boy named Dillion. They trained their sword skills together. Over time, their love would grow, and soon she wished to live with him and his tribe. Fast forward, and the Isle of Orkney was invaded by Vikings, the Northmen, and this is where the flashback brings us. Death, destruction, and the discovery of our love Dillion, sacrificed to their North gods in the form of a blood eagle. A mind now truly broken, deeper we fall into a psychotic nightmare. Our goal now? To journey into Helheim itself and bargain with the goddess Hela, keeper of the underworld, to bring back our love and save Dillion's soul.
So you must carry his vessel to bring him back home. They can break you, but not your promise. Even death won't keep you apart. Through this darkness you will find him. In your sword still beats a heart.
Finally, the entrance to Helheim now open, we battle across the bridge with our goal now in view. At the end, Hela appears, a towering, ferocious being overwhelming us with her darkness. We are frozen, the voices mock us once more, the voice of our father reminds us how useless we are. We try to overcome it all and swing our sword, but it shatters, and we get thrown off the bridge like an insignificant fly.
You're not a warrior, you're a disgrace. The gods will punish you for this. Pick up the sword, pick it up, fight the darkness, fight it. Get up. Get up. Get up and fight.
How are we supposed to defeat her now? Sword broken as well as body and mind, we must somehow rally ourselves to keep going. It's at this point that I shared the overpowering feeling of helplessness Senua faced. It really seemed that there was just no hope. The next chain of events, however, was so beautifully crafted that bit by bit it felt like we could actually achieve our aim. We discovered that there is a new sword, one that only the worthy could wield, one that was powerful enough to even slay a god, Grammar. As we come to the place this sword is housed, Senua looks at the camera, she looks at us, and asks us if we can help her get this sword, as it's important. The connection between the character and the player deepens as you feel the desperation in her plea.
I need this sword. It's important. Can you help me?
The sword appears whole.
As we then realise the sword is an illusion and that we need to rebuild it, we travel in turn to different places that once again test our senses and our sanity. Through them all, we see the light of Dillion as he guides us each time to safety and to each piece of the sword. Through a tomb of corridors, through a place of pure darkness filled with monsters, through a shifting landscape and a plague-ridden village, we finally get to wield the mighty Grammar, and with it, our hopes rekindled once more. Yet the darkness tests us once again, as we are plunged into a sea of corpses. Half submerged in blood, we battle our way through round after round of torment and ridicule. This segment, although powerful in the narrative it delivered, did feel like it slowed the pace all of a sudden. A lot of what felt like meaningless combat, it was like a downward gear shift in an otherwise escalating part of the game. The penultimate sequence in our journey finds us in the heart of the realm. We are now stalked by a monster that dwells in the shadows, in the darkness itself. We continue to face our fear and run through sections of the dark, each time sensing the beast invade our mind and driving us nearer to death. As we think the end is in sight, we fall off a collapsing bridge and lose Dillion's head down an unending pit. Deeper and deeper we go to retrieve it until we come face to face with the shadow creature, one that has been talking to us through most of our journey. One that has been shaming us, talking down to us, a voice that has been doing this not only just now, but most of our lives. Our father. The battle that ensues is almost poetry. The balance of attack and evasion, the reliance of sight and sound. We don't panic in the darkness anymore. We now overcome that voice that has haunted us for so long. We are braver now, a warrior. The finale then, as we now see clearly the evil and rot is not from us, not our mother or anyone else, but from our father. As we see Hela in the backdrop, we face wave upon wave of Northmen, each blocking our path to Hela as we cut each one down, never seeming to get to her. Through the narration, we understand that after all the years of thinking we are to blame for all the evil that fell upon those we love, we know now it's not true. All that hatred now pouring out as we battle through hordes of not just Northmen, but shadows of the gods and beasts we'd felled before. As we keep fighting, however, a soft and calming voice keeps telling us to let go and to give in.
Let go. Go, Senua. Stop. You're killing yourself. Behind you.
The voices are kind now, their tone changed, no longer panicked, no longer argumentative, but delicate, peaceful, our mind no longer fractured. It didn't take long for me to realise that now we did finally have to listen, to let go to the resentment and realise there is no redemption to be had. The problem is, I hate losing, but this felt more than that. I simply couldn't allow myself to put the controller down and stop, reflecting exactly how Senua must have felt her whole life. It almost took the battery dying before I let the battle end. We see Hela then, come to us as we kneel and plea once more, offering our life to serve her in Ragnarok to set Dillion free, or to simply kill us. She chooses to plunge our sword through our chest, and with that the final scene is left to our own interpretation. Seemingly having switched bodies, we walk away past the corpse of Hela, telling the player to join for one final journey, teeing us up beautifully for the sequel.
Follow us. We have another story to tell. My friend.
be your story to witness. Goodbye.
The developers Ninja Theory did an incredible job and not only touching on a very sensitive subject, but developing an experience like no other. Interviewing and collaborating with real people that suffer with schizophrenia meant that they could create a game that respected mental health and psychosis and not be exploitative of it. In the bonus features, we also see how they researched Norse and Pict lore in order to present an accurate representation of history. I absolutely love a well-told story and how video games can be used as a medium to tell them effectively. Hellblade Senua's Sacrifice wasn't just a tale of love and loss, but it was an experience, a journey of the mind and of myself. I cannot wait to see how Ninja Theory have built on the first game and how Senua's journey comes to an end.